countdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming at you live from episode 28 of Life on the Rocks with your host, Connor Rocques. Today's featured guest in the hot seat is my good friend, Robert Kirwan. How you doing, my friend?
Nice to meet you.
Honestly, there we go. Just nice to meet you. For anyone who doesn't know Robert currently, he is actually the Ward 5 counselor within the city of Greater Sudbury. He also runs an educational-based business, a private practice rather, where he's working with different businesses and such. Robert, I want to start this off. What got you started here today in business and such?
Started in business. I was a classroom teacher all my life, working in the public sector.
Okay.
And my three sons all went to Laurentian in the Business and Commerce program. And in order to have their mother stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, I always had a business that I was running on a part-time basis, right from the early 1980s. And so being in marketing, being in publications, doing my publications on the Valley and getting into the Facebook site that I've got now, I've always been kind of doing it on a part-time basis and being a private business person.
Definitely.
So marketing, business consulting, education, and it's all kind of dovetailed into this this new way of marketing now, which is education-based, where you're not marketing your product or your service to the public as here's my product, here's the price, here's why I'm best. It's here's my product, here's how my product can make your life better.
Exactly.
And so you do the education, and by providing people with an education as to how they can use your services and your products to I guess enjoy a better quality of life, then that makes them more likely to pay attention to what you have to sell them.
Definitely, absolutely. You have something to offer.
Yeah.
So would you argue you've always been an entrepreneur then?
I've always been a marketer, and I've always, I guess if I was to define what I like to do, what my mission is, it's to help other people achieve their goals.
Definitely, I like that.
So, you know, what do? I help other people achieve their goals.
Exactly.
So right
yeah.
from teaching, right from basically one of the things I like best about being on council is that I have an opportunity to work with individual constituents who are having issues and problems getting what to them is very complex issues solved, and what I'm able to do is cut through an awful lot of the red tape and an awful lot of the confusion, and in many cases arrive at a solution for them that they would have been floundering in for years.
Exactly, yeah. Kind of getting right to the nitty-gritty of it and saying this is the problem, let's address it, come up with the proper solution.
And I know who to contact to help you get your solution.
How long? So before you've been a counselor for Ward 5 now for 3 years? You started in 2014.
Yeah, this is my first term.
Okay. And how do you enjoy doing that as a counselor? I want you to walk me through this for a second. Being a counselor, what exactly does that entail? Obviously, you're trying to come to a decision for a whole. A lot of people, they think, well, what exactly does a counselor do? I'm just curious.
Well, I guess the main job that a counselor has to do is learn how to provide direction and support to staff, and then get out of the way. And I think where you run into trouble as a counselor is if you try to get too involved in the operations of the city to the point where you're trying to know as much as your managers and your staff know. And what our role is to assist the managers and to assist the staff in providing the services to the constituents based on the direction we've given. Council makes the decisions.
Definitely.
The arena project is a perfect example. We've just passed a resolution that has asked a consultant to come up with a strategic design for the site plan, and we've got a project manager, Catherine Matheson, who's going to be looking after the overall project. We know what we want there. We want a finished product that has an arena, a casino, and a hotel that basically to the outside world looks like it's one building, one facility. Yeah. And so rather than having three separate companies, and I consider the city a company, 3 separate companies all do their own separately and have no linkage, no connection, and no synergy. It was decided by the 3 proponents that they would have a consultant who was familiar with the casino world to do the design so that we can place that building now on the property. And once we place the building on the property, we can then draw the property lines so that each of the 3 components have their own property, but they'll be connected.
Exactly, it comes together as one.
So your parking is around the entire 3 buildings instead of your parking around 3 separate buildings. So now you're connected. Wherever you enter, you can connect to the others. So once that's done, then you're going to know where the best location is on that land. Then the land developer can then go into the planning department and say, okay, now that we know where this land's going to be, here's where I have to draw my road.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he gets permission to draw the road. Then the others have to go in one at a time and get the zoning amendments changed. But you can't do that until you know where everybody's going to be located.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to make that decision to say, no, we're going to have one person go out there, come up with the best strategic design possible, we'll approve it, then we can get everything else done. It's the business way of doing things.
Exactly, yeah.
So we had a big fight, big debate over, well, let's slow it down, let's have an RFP process, let's do, and we're saying, no, we've got 2 other private sector companies who don't have to do the RFP. They can hire whoever they want.
Exactly, yeah.
So why should we slow the entire project down when we don't have to, when the person is right here in front of us? So this is where we I think we're getting into, we're shifting in the city. We're shifting from the philosophy of, that's a good idea, but I don't think it's going to work because, to, that's a good idea, what do we have to change to make it work?
Exactly, yeah.
That's the shift that Sudbury's going through right now.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You kind of see it where, and then it's to get that whole decision made where everybody's going to come together.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about that, being obviously someone's a political figure in the city. How do you put out some of these fires when you have people firing at you from one different angle, this angle, well, what about this approach? How do you get everybody to come together as a whole when you're getting a lot of disagreement and trying to get the numbers to back the project or whatever is going to happen? How do you deal with a lot of that stuff?
Facts and evidence and knowledge.
Like a lawyer almost.
It is exactly it. When you go to city council, you are dealing with a jury of 12. If you want the jury to agree with the proposal that you're putting in front of them, you need 6 of them to support you.
Exactly, yeah.
Then you've got 7 to 6.
Exactly.
So you just have to convince half of that jury to side with you.
Your case.
And so it's a matter of putting the evidence in front of them. And if you present the evidence, at the end of the day, the questioning is basically the cross-examination. So at the end of the day, the evidence should be obvious as to what the decision should be. And you make the decision based on that.
Okay, I like that. I like the way you guys come to a decision like that.
We don't always come like that, but that's the way it's supposed to work.
It's supposed to be like a political and bipartisan or whatever, come right to a just solution, right?
That's right.
I want to back this up for a second. So we're talking about the political side. I want to go back. You were talking about how you're a marketer, right?
Yeah.
I want you to talk about the importance of marketing in today's society. And before we kind of digressed, I guess, in the beginning of this, or before we got on alive, you were saying that a lot of people don't know how to market properly anymore. We're not taught. We're going in from the way I like to explain it is almost like a martial arts fighter. Jab, 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 right hook. It's from one of my mentors. He says, give, and then you go in, with the big, here's my call to action kind of deal. I want you to talk about marketing today and what you're seeing.
I think the first mistake most people make when they think about marketing is they don't understand the importance of the person doing the selling. You don't, and I think Facebook is a perfect example. I think Facebook is the greatest invention that the world has ever had.
One of the biggest distractions too.
Yeah, but it is because when you're trying to promote something, it doesn't matter what kind of evidence you put out. It doesn't matter what kind of fancy drawings. If I get a message from one of my friends saying, I saw this, I tried this is good, you should try it. I don't care what kind of money you spend on advertising, that personal reference is more important than anything else. Now, if I respect the person who sent that message to me, if someone I know dresses like a bum and wears rubber boots with a tuxedo tells me, well, this is a good place to buy your clothes, I may, think differently.
Exactly, yeah.
But if I respect the person who sent me the message, then I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it once. So here's where we run into the problem is we have all of these young and old, it's not just young that run into this. They don't understand that you're the sum total of everything that's ever happened to you in your life and everything that you've ever done in your life. So you do one dumb thing, that's part of your image forever.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's hard to, like I say, it's like wearing rubber boots and a tuxedo. What do people notice? What do they remember? That's the person who wears rubber boots and a tuxedo. They don't remember that you wore a $4,000 tuxedo. It's the rubber boots they notice.
It's so true.
So how do we get this across to young people that you can't do stupid things on Facebook for the first 18 years of your life and then expect to go and get a job as a professional someplace and not have all that stuff come back and bite you?
No, it's so true.
Or go on the weekend. On the weekend, you go and I'll give you a perfect example was when I was a teacher. And I used to play slow pitch out in the valley. And you're playing with the men, it's men's slow pitch, and there's lots of people around, lots of kids around and that. But I mean, the language sometimes got a little rough. And I remember one day, one person asked me, he says, Kirwan, he says, I never hear you swear. He says, you never say anything. I said, I'm a teacher. I cannot have using profanity become part of my language when I'm in front of kids all day.
Definitely.
Because I can't afford to slip up and forget where I am in front of students because that is going to have serious consequences on me. So I don't incorporate those kinds of negative behaviors that this society doesn't generally like as part of my character.
Exactly. Yeah.
I try to make sure that wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, is marketing me.
Definitely, you're always marketing and i.e. selling. I don't say selling in the wrong term. You're always kind of trying to promote to people.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny. And like I like to promote a lot myself, and I like to put myself out there because you look at if we were doing television advertising or on the radio. It's like I have access right now. I call my phone a weapon. It's a weapon. I can post things all over the world, and the people are saying, "Oh, well, you promote too much or you're posting too much." I'm using it for business. We're trying to get a message across. It's all based on perception, like they used in war, right? And that's kind of the one thing I'm finding in society is where do you have that divide? Where, are you a real person? If you're people, not you yourself, but just people are trying to go out there, they're promoting this image on Facebook. Look, I drive this nice car, my nice suit. But then you meet the person and all of a sudden they're swearing, they don't have the same reputation. And I think that's what you're finding a lot of time with people in general, is that they have this great aura in society. I'm this happy person. You meet them, they're miserable some of the time, and they're not actually promoting, or they're not actually being true to who they are.
Yeah. And I think what you're, like the younger generation now is teaching us something with this. Like we were talking about using the live stream with Facebook. And I've done this with some of the businesses that I'm working with. And I've told them we'll use the live stream, and they're saying, well, yes, but what if a customer comes by, or what if the phone rings? And I said, that's live. And this generation doesn't like anything put on. This generation doesn't like television. They don't like TV ads. They don't like, because it's put on.
Exactly.
They would rather say that's live, and if he drops his pen and has to bend down to pick it up, he's not editing it.
Exactly, yeah.
And so that's real. And so I think we're starting to see that trend toward mainstream advertising is losing its impact on the target markets because people want to know it's genuine. How do you find out that something's genuine? I've got a Facebook site with 11,000 people on it, and if something is going on in the valley and someone says, hey, this is a good thing, it gets around. Facebook, unfortunately, though, has I think it's a 30-to-1 ratio of people that always post to complain about something. So if something goes bad, wow.
Exactly,
you hear about it.
Everybody sees it.
So I often do it on my Facebook site. I'll post something that's an issue with the city, and I'll ask for feedback. A lot of negative feedback, but I've told people as long as there's no profanity, and as long as a classroom teacher at any high school or elementary school could actually show this Facebook site to their class, that's fine.
Exactly, yeah.
All that stuff will come. But anything that would not be something that would be appropriate for a classroom, then I won't allow it on the site.
No, exactly. Well, I want to switch gears then with that. I like the way you come and approach that. What would you do, though, if you were an individual, let's say, for instance, that maybe took a hit at some point where you went out and you said something stupid, or something came out that you were using profanity, or something took it, like someone like Gio Gameshi, something bad like that happened. How would you go about recovering like that, or recovering from something like that? Maybe not in his case because it's more so extreme, but as an individual where you were younger and you were promoting some bad things, like how do you think you can go about recovering from something?
One daffodil at a time.
That's it, one step at a time, right? To kind of
It's just one positive incident after the other.
No, exactly.
Until you overwhelm the negative.
Absolutely.
It's like the story of a person that comes up and sees that a lady has planted a gigantic hill of daffodils. They say, "Wow, I'd like to do that. How do you go about doing it?" She says, "You plant one at a time. Eventually, you've got a hill of daffodils."
Exactly.
So if you make one mistake in your life, it's not the end of your life. It's actually something that you could learn from, but there's no point in trying to hide it. It's just, it happened.
Exactly.
It happened. Now anything that I do for you, you're going to see that I've changed, and eventually your image will come back. But it will probably take 10 times as long to overcome that one negative, because people will always remember the bad. They will always remember that you're the person who wore rubber boots in the tuxedo.
Exactly, great example.
So they've got to see you 10 times in that tuxedo with good shoes on before they forget the rubber boots.
It's like that one story. And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles and things with this generation is that we're exposed. That's the thing, this is the one time in history where everybody's exposed for those things, and how do you counteract all the negative stuff that, let's say, people are going to be throwing at you? So the question to you that I have, and I think it's important because obviously you're, like I said before, you're a versatile individual, you're out there. How do you break through the noise of a generation constantly trying to sell you? If you're a marketer, right? If you're getting thrown information left and right, there's so much noise in your environment. How do you break through the noise of a generation trying to sell you? If you're trying to get your message across as a marketer, to communicate it as genuine, how do you do that? There's obviously different approaches, but
there are different approaches. It's a matter of at some point in time, people are going to need you.
That's right.
And when they need you, they're going to pay attention to you. So I've often said that you can sell water all you want, but until a person's thirsty, he's not going to want that water. But you've got to have the water available.
Exactly.
So if you make yourself available, good, bad, ugly, all of the reporters in town, all of the media in town know that if they need me, they call me, I'm there. I never say no. Sometimes it's for negative things, sometimes it's for challenging things, but I know how hard it is to work. I know how hard it is to do what you're doing with the videos. So to me, part of my image is, no, I'm always available to talk. If you're doing a story, you need me, unless I'm totally unavailable, I will be there. I'm not going to refuse to talk to you because you're a reporter. So by always being there when they need me, they've got me, and it appears as if I'm in the media a lot.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind being.
I see you're a good marketer. That's why I see you coming up all the time, right? Yeah.
So, and so what happens is, if you've got a message to deliver and you need people to be educated as to why certain things are needed in the city, then you've got to be willing to put that out there. People are going to be critical of you, but you've got to put out your reasons for it, so that at least at the end of the day, people know what you stand for.
Exactly. Instead of being kind of a pushover, right? Like a lot of the society, they don't want to showcase their true skills and what they have to offer.
Or you don't want to say.
Exactly. Don't want to talk. Yeah.
It's like, so when you're looking at people who are trying to get into a business, I basically say it doesn't matter what business you're in marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're selling something.
Exactly. Yeah. This table, you look at my cell phone, everything has been sold and is marketed.
Sold. You're selling yourself. And what people don't understand is you're not only selling yourself, you're selling the people around you. You introduce me to you, I don't know who you are. Oh yeah, my dad's Ron Rocques. Oh yeah, I know Ron Rocques.
Exactly, yeah.
So the fruit of the tree,
Just like that, right? Yeah.
So okay, now I've got an identity, but you also have an identity to live up to.
Exactly, yeah.
But you've given yourself an opportunity, because the first impression is, okay, I'm not going to be looking for the bad, I'm going to be looking for the good. So if I have a bad reputation in town, it means my children have to work twice as hard because the first impression a stranger has is, oh, your father is him.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden you're negative. And that's why I've told people, I said, be very, very careful. The first time you're meeting somebody, the first time you're getting involved in something, really give them a good first impression. Because if you give a good first impression, you can mess up 4 times in a row, and a person's still going to go with their first impression saying, I had to be right. If I assume that was a good person the first time I met him, I'm going to go with my judgment. I didn't make a mistake.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can mess up 3 or 4 times. I'm still going to say I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Mess up that first time though, and my judgment of you is that you're bad. That's the judgment that I have. So you're going to have to be good many times because I'm going to say, well, that's not the true you. The true you is the person I knew first. So that's the message I try to get across to young people. And everybody's going to come back into your life.
So true.
Everybody. The person that you pick on in grade 8 at some point in time is going to be a person that's hiring you or deciding on a contract for you.
It's so true, and then you're going to walk in there, and that's the first thing. They made fun of me at that point, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever, right?
Always going to happen. And because that's the kind of world we live in now, especially with technology.
Being exposed, right?
What is it, 6 degrees of separation?
Exactly, yeah. How do you feel then about the whole aspect? So I want to talk about this since we're talking about marketing and selling. How do you feel about the stigma associated with being a salesperson? So I embrace the fact that, I'm in sales, I'm an entrepreneur, everything is being sold, right? But a lot of people, they get that icky feeling, oh, you're a salesperson, you did door to door. They kind of feel like you're as if you're going to try to take their money. But I always try to reassure people, no, I just build relationships for a living. And then they ask, oh, well, you're just a salesperson, what do I try to sell you? But myself, right? How do you feel about that stigma and kind of overcoming that barrier? Because as a politician, you're selling yourself. Like you said, you're a marketer, you're marketing society. How do you embrace that more so than anything?
By only trying to sell them what they need.
I like that.
If you're trying to sell a product that they don't need.
You can tell you come from an economics background, in a sense.
Math and economics.
Yeah.
So basically, you could sell me this pen all you want. You could try to get me to buy the pen, but until I need a pen, I don't want it. So as long as I know where I can get the pen.
Exactly, yeah.
So you let me know that this is what you can provide, and you let me know how I can use it, how it might be able to make my life better. Don't try to sell me the pen if I don't want it, but at least I know where you are. So I use a technique on my Facebook site where I try to do little educational blurbs on businesses, every day or every 2 days. But at the bottom part of the post is all of the relevant information about the business, the services, the contact, and everything. So people don't have to read all that, but they know where they can find it.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's that knowing where you can find it that's important. And so as a salesperson, like I say, everybody is a salesperson.
Exactly, yeah.
And even if you're the CAO of a company and you are giving orders to your subordinates, you're still a salesperson because you have to sell them on working on following the direction you've given them.
Definitely.
And once you've given them that direction, if you haven't motivated them, don't expect the productivity level to be high.
Exactly.
So you're a salesperson.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think the biggest sales job, I guess the biggest sales challenge is convincing someone they're capable of doing something.
That is one of the hardest. How do you motivate somebody?
You give them the task, you give them all they need to do the task, and then you let them do the task.
And see what they kind of deliver.
And stop interfering. And this is, I think, the biggest, this is the biggest challenge of being a city councilor, is that you get elected because you want to make changes to the city, but our responsibility is to give the city staff, the CAO, to give him and his staff everything they need to do a good job, and give them the rules to follow, and then let them do it. If we're changing the rules all the time, and we're micromanaging what you're doing, and 3 weeks into a project we're saying, no, we want you to come back, we want to change our mind, that's when you've got confusion. So the biggest task for a councillor is to know when to make a decision and then when to back off and get out of the way. And basically our job should be, how can we help you?
Yeah, be like a guide.
Not prove to me that you're doing the right job, but how can we help you?
Exactly, yeah.
Tough job.
It is, because you're going to get a lot of different angles coming in, right? And people trying to approach it differently.
And everybody wants things done their own way, and but I think that's where we've missed the mark. It's that old story of the supervisor who looks out in the field and sees two people working. One person's digging a hole and the other person is filling the hole in.
No, exactly, yeah.
And he walks out there and he says, I've been watching you guys for 8 hours, and all you've been doing is going around digging a hole and the other person filling it in. He says, what's going on? He says, well, there used to be 3 of us. Joey used to put a tree in the hole, but he got cut. We figured management knew what they were doing, so we're still both doing our job. So it's like, you know, you've got to develop a culture of your employees so that they understand that they're as much involved in this operation as we are, and if they see some things that they feel can be done better, you don't turn them off and say, no, it's not your decision, it's not your job.
Exactly.
Thank them.
No, definitely. And kind of put yourself out there.
Well,
that's a tough question, a loaded question more so.
Well, one of the issues, and again, I'm not sure if that disconnects the.
No, it didn't. That's no, it doesn't. Yeah.
But one of the issues when you're taking a look at the education system is it's not real. And I actually had a discussion with a couple of people who are running a tutoring agency, and I said, the people who are running the education system today, generally, they don't understand what it's like not to want an education, because they come from the top 25% of the students who go on to university. 75% of the students going through high school today do not go to university. They either go to college, they go to work, or they drop out. So only 25% of the students in any classroom even want an education.
Yeah.
They're there against their will.
No, exactly, yeah.
So how do you motivate them to understand that education is not learning content? Education is becoming a better person and starting from a baseline and improving what you're capable of doing, rather than remembering what you're taught. But how do you do it in a context where everything you're doing is not real? We had a school, Jean-Paul II school in Valcarran. The mayor and I were going around to the classrooms. Back in the fall of the first year for our first term, and we went around and we saw the classrooms. And one grade 8 kid put up his hand. He said, "How do we get a skate park in Valcarran?" I said, "Well," I said, "I'll come back and see you." But I said the easiest way is to get a petition and show us that there's interest in one. Long story short, I came back, we went through the process of doing a petition, the students worked on going out to get petitions, get the petitions signed and get to show that there was support for the community. And they came back the following June with 1,697 signatures.
Wow.
And they were all adults. Because I told them, you don't want to just get kids. You want to be able to show that they're adults. And there were signatures, none of these online surveys where you can get 500 in 10 minutes. They actually had to go out. They had 1,700 signatures. It has now gone into, we've got a consultant who's going to come out and do a little bit of design, but it's $1 million project that we're working on now. That's going to include a skate park, a splash pad, a new tennis court,
Wow.
a change room, a little tot playground, and a redeveloped rink, all on Confederation School property.
Wow.
Right on the corner. So,
no kidding.
One question from a grade 8 kid, how? And I said, well, we can help you, but here's what you have to do.
Get the numbers.
It's going to be about a 4-year project. But what these kids are doing now is this is an ongoing project that they see is real. And I guess, being a former teacher, the principal told me very shortly after that he said there was one kid that they were having trouble with. All the time he was in trouble. He was staying at home. He said since we started the petition, he's there every day. He's talking about how to go out and get the signatures. He's talking about the design. That's all he talks about, and he's there, and he's doing well in all his other classes.
Wow.
Because it just turned him right on. He was doing something real.
No, exactly. And it goes to show you that, you can actually create a change. It's almost like the Albert Einstein example where, you can't teach a fish how to walk on land or whatever it is. We're trying to use the same education system to come to the same solution. Yeah. And there's no application. You know what I mean? You're going to school, getting degrees, they're teaching you to read all these law documents, read this. And then when you try to get into the real world, like myself, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. It's easy. I went into the real world, tried to become an entrepreneur. I come from, like I said, I came from a law background. And it was almost as if I took a punch in the mouth. I went there, we started a company selling door-to-door alarm systems. I failed miserably. I went out there in the freezing cold. I was just thinking, oh, well, I went to school. I'm entitled to all these different things. And then it kind of hit me. I'm like, wow, no, if you want to make this happen, you look at some of these big companies, how they operate. It doesn't just start, you can read it in a textbook, okay, yeah, we have a CEO, a CFO, we do all these different things, but until you get the actual application and operation of how this works, then it makes sense. And I think that's maybe the divide we have right now is we need more application, and that's why these tradespeople are kind of going up like this, and people are coming out of university with no solution. And my solution is this, and I think it's important. Innovation pays. It's the innovators. We need innovators in society. You can't find a job, create one. Go work charity. What are you going to do? And that's the thing. I think we need people that are able to kind of make those decisions as opposed to staying with the majority as a whole. So the question is, so how do you motivate those people, like you said? Show them they can create the change, get the numbers, right?
And then you've got to teach them how to be a salesperson.
Exactly. Which I'll come in and okay, no.
Yeah, if you can't sell your innovation, if you can't sell your idea, you're not going anywhere.
No, absolutely. Robert, we could talk for hours on here. Honestly, I have so many different things I want to ask you about as a teacher when you're dealing with the concussion organization there you're working with. But I want to close this off in a good manner. What can we expect from you with the city? Obviously, you're dealing with a number of different obstacles and things you guys have to overcome. But what can we expect from you?
From me or from the city?
From you first. Because it's all going to affect the city, right? We all know.
My position in life now is that, as you get older, you don't even buy green bananas. So as far as I'm concerned, long-term planning is possibly good as an exercise, but we need action. Absolutely. And so what we need is to get away from this whole idea of let's plan and let's talk and let's wait till we get the perfect solution. Because with the age of the internet and the age of technology, there is no perfect solution. You have to start. You start with something and you build and you change as you're going along. But we have to start. The other thing you're going to see is I'm more interested in us becoming more independent. And that means that if we're going to get into projects, the arena is a perfect one. The big choice between putting the arena downtown or putting the arena on the Kingsway for me was the Kingsway allowed us to generate revenue to pay for the arena. Putting the arena downtown, we would have had to pay for it out of tax dollars.
So true.
So you put it on the Kingsway, you can generate up to you can generate in new commercial taxes enough to pay the mortgage on the arena, and then you can generate a new revenue from the casino enough to pay for a good portion of the downtown development. So by putting the Kingsway on the arena on the Kingsway, we should be able to generate enough new money in the city to pay not only for the arena and the casino and the hotel, but also the art gallery, the library, and the Synergy Center downtown.
I like that.
So putting it downtown, we get none of the other things.
Exactly, yeah.
So the business point of view is, okay, if we want to do a project, how do we do it so that we can generate enough revenue from it by working with the private sector? Because the private sector has needs too. And if we consider ourselves a company, and we are the corporation of the City of Greater Sudbury, we're a big co-op, then we have to produce revenue so that our shareholders don't have to put extra money in so that we can survive.
Exactly, yeah.
That's how a co-op runs.
It's so true.
So, and we have to serve our co-op members. Our co-op members are getting older and we have to provide more services. But they don't have enough money to pay for these services. So how do we use our land? How do we use our resources to generate more revenue by bringing in other developers and other commercialization so that we can get money to provide services to our residents?
You're right on the money with that, seriously.
So it's a business thing.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to come to the just solution, and then everyone always sees the wrong side of it, right?
Yeah.
So in my closing remarks, I want you to look in the camera and tell everybody your social media threads, so we can follow you. So people out my network, if you have an Instagram and Twitter, just so we can get that out there.
Well, the biggest one I use is the Valley East Facebook
Your
site.
page, yeah.
It's just Valley East, and it's got right now it's approaching 11,000 members.
I love that.
It was started back in I think January 16th, 2010. just my wife and I were the only two members, and we did it as our social media extension for my community. My community website was Valley East Today. So we started this. When I got elected as a councillor, we had 4,000 members. So in 3 years, it's gone from 4,000 to 11,000. It has become, it's not my council site, but I explain to people that as a publisher, if I was on council, I would probably use my paper to get information out to my readers.
Exactly.
So I'm using my Facebook site to get information out to the people living in Sudbury. And actually we have people from all over the world. I've had people tell me, oh, I joined your Facebook site because my mother in New Brunswick told me about something on the Facebook site. And I wanted to join your site because now I can find out what's going on too.
Exactly.
So what's happened now is this has become a sounding board. It's become a place where people can put up issues, they can ask questions. When I see that there's some misinformation out there, I now have an opportunity to explain it. I was telling a couple paramedics, I said, when you're out in the valley and the siren's going on, I said, quite often we can track where you are because people will post, I just heard the sirens going down Cote Street, and they will say, yeah, they just went by my house over here. And we can actually see the thread.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You know, there's an accident on Main Street. Yeah, I'm 3 cars away. Here's the picture.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything's fine, or no, it looks pretty bad. You know, so all of a sudden you're into this communication tool. I don't think we've ever lost a dog. When someone says, you know, I see a husky golden retriever walking down Cote Street. Before long, we see a post saying the owner has found him and has
exactly, yeah.
And so it is a real connection vehicle, but people are afraid of it.
So true, they don't want to embrace that fear.
Well, it's because of the mob mentality. It's because 30 to 1 of the comments are basically people attacking.
Negative, exactly, yeah, taking hits.
Yeah.
With no validity, no facts, like you said, oh, well, it's this and that.
Yeah, but I've explained very carefully to people that the police monitor my site.
That's great, yeah.
They have quite often, they come to the site when they know there's incidents going on, and because quite often they can see
who it is.
If there's a lot of break-ins, people will say, you know, that my car's been broken into last night, so they can see from some of the posts where things are. And I've got a couple calls from a few officers once in a while saying, could you correct this on your site?
Exactly,
to make
yeah.
sure they understand. And it's I love the tool. I love the generational opportunities, and I've told people that the people who are most excited about the future are not the younger people coming in now. It's the baby boomers who are saying, I worked all my life and now I want to do something significant and I just can't wait to get at it. And those are the 65, 70-year-olds who are working twice as hard as the 20 and 25-year-olds. And you know what? It's going to be hard to compete.
Yeah, you got to be innovative. That's the only way I think you're going to get in that mark if they don't want to leave those jobs and go through. Yeah. Another point with what you had said there, just to kind of close this off.
We always have, we've got about 10 final points. But
10 final points. We can't. That's the beauty of life on the rocks. I'm sorry. That's like I said. We could talk for 4 hours. But that's where you see, like, when you have the numbers backing it like that, it's almost as if in this society now you can talk to brands. You can actually talk to brands, obviously. So someone sees, like you said, word of mouth marketing is so powerful that all of a sudden, the person at Starbucks, they screwed me over and this and that, and then all of a sudden everybody sees that kind of goes viral more so. So the separation has kind of happened. So how I wanted to close this off. So if you haven't, check out Robert online. Go to his Facebook page and follow it. Obviously, that's your main.
You got to go to the Valley East. You got to go to the one that's got almost 11,000.
Yeah,
there's been a few people who have tried to create
their own, but they couldn't keep up with your power force there.
Mostly, it's been disgruntled people that didn't like the rules.
No, for sure. But I'm going to have to bring you back on the show. I mean, like I said, I could talk with you for 4 hours, probably longer because it's me. I like to talk, I'm just kidding. But thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure.
It has. It's been fun.
Honestly, I think you've done an exceptional job in the city. And I mean that wholeheartedly.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.